Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks the organizers for giving me the chance to talk to you about opening up audio archives at Schweizer Radio and Fernsehen SRF, which is the Swiss radio and television station from the German-speaking part of Switzerland. Thanks to the audience for being here, for having open ears for open archives. Now, over the past about 4 years, SRF, our company, has unveiled large archive collections, broadcasting data from 1965 to 2008. And in the coming 20 minutes, I would just like to share some of our experiences we made in terms of opportunities we saw, challenges we met, also mistakes we did, and but last but not least, it is a success story. First of all, some preliminary notes to give you a little bit of context. We do not just open up our archives and our audio archives because it makes sense for us, sense for the public. We do it because we do have a legal mandate to do it. It is stated in the ordinance on radio and television that we, I quote, shall make its program archives accessible to the public in a suitable form for personal and for scientific use while respecting the right of third parties. Now, we like this mandate, but we can't fulfill it by simply pressing a button. It's a lot of work. It requires a broad commitment at SRF level, a strategic focus at our department, which is called Research and Archives. It requires additional financial support from the Foundation Kulturerbe, which you can translate in Foundation Cultural Heritage, SRF, a foundation that is supporting archive projects. And last but not least, it needs a lot of interdisciplinary cooperation between many staff members with different skills at SRF. In the end, we publish our audio items on an SRF internal platform, srf.ch/audio. With other platforms, you then have access to this platform. Another important note is that we make a quite clear difference between curated, selected use of specific archive items. We call that Archivverwertung. And on the other hand, we do structural opening of large archive collections. We call that Archivöffnung, or opening up the archive. To make it a little bit clearer, an image from an archaeological site. On the left, we lift single pieces with a spatula and present them individually. In the image to the right, we need excavators to uncover large collections without curating the item individually. For this, we need technical solutions. In the project, we even talk of excavators. We say, now it's time for an excavator, time to produce an excavator for the next step. We need excavator wherever it's possible and practically feasible. It's not always very easy to decide if we do something manually or by excavators. But my presentation here is really about the picture to the right side. It's about opening up large archive collections using manual work, but also excavators. Some of our insights. The insight one is pragmatism and user orientation are crucial or essential. The excavator manner means that we ask ourselves, for example, the following question: how to offer added value to our public at reasonable effort we all the time have to ask ourselves, how much of editing do we do to the metadata and the audio? We tell ourselves many times we would rather publish 100 hours of roughly checked material than 5 hours of perfectly curated items. That's our approach. A consequence of our approach is clearly we do take the risk of having imperfections, which is not always very easy for documentalists. Inside too, I could give you an example, but you can imagine as archivist that the data you find in the archive is not, the description of an audio is not the same as the description of audio that is published tomorrow and edited by a journalist editor tomorrow. I go to my insight too. An archive is an archive, which is a tautology, but I think many of you can have a little bit of meaning what this means. Organizing data, indexing it consistently is what we do and what we like, and we like an organized archive, and it's really our job to do that. And on the other hand, we all know this world of heterogeneous collections, archives that are very heterogeneous, and that also happens to our archive. The SRF audio archive was created over a long period, decades, and it was always under different framework conditions. That means it was not essentially an open archive at all, not a scientific archive at all. It's a internal media production archive, and that was the focus for decades when creating this archive. It means we had several digitization projects. We did have metadata migrations that took place, databases that changed. We had different delivery practices from the editorial side. Metadata delivered and indexing practices, they were different at each time, and even within one period you always have some heterogeneous standards, because we do have and did have a decentralized, a federalist corporate structure. The consequence is that we are really coming constantly across surprises in terms of audio and metadata constellation. It's very difficult for us to estimate the workload involved in processing a piece of content or a collection. We realize it by doing very often. And what we can do as reaction is we respond to this by adapting the scope and the content of checks and editing work we do at the collections. But not everything is very complicated when we open up our archive. I give you an example of a program that was quite easy to open and show you a little bit what we do. The program is called Focus. It's a radio talk, and it's quite constant from 1989 to 2007. It invites figures from politics, culture, sports, society, and it's really a constant program. We do a few checks in the archive system, and we see there we have a properly organized archive inventory. With a few checks, we already realize we do have 800 programs. All of them are between 40 and 60 minutes long. We have a quite clear legal situation, which is very important for us. We know from our knowledge of the program and from the metadata in the archive system, it's an in-house production. There are no readings, airplays, and so further on. We do really have high quality and structured metadata in this case. The process now is we do around 15 technical or manual checks. We do some editing on these items, and then we go to publication. And the workload here for such a program is a few days of workload. To give you an idea what we do, what checks we do at Focus, very simple. First of all, we look, is there for these 800 programs, is it just metadata, or does each metadata item also do have an audio file? We look at the length of the episode. Is it complete? Is it in certain range between 40 and 60 minutes in this case? Is the air date complete and feasible? Was it an in-house production or not? We do checks to include airplays, readings, theaters. We look at the database field utilization node for rights management reason. We do checks to exclude raw materials. We do checks on certain documental terms in abstracts. We do an automatical detection of mute positions. We do random sampling of episode titles. So we read some titles, we read some abstracts, but we don't read all of them and correct all of them. We read them and do random samples, and the result, if we see a lot of fails or a lot of things that are really not nice, then we extend checks and do a little bit more of editing. That's how we do it. And we listen to a random sample of start and end of episode. In all the work, it's always important. We read a lot in the audio content. So we do a lot with automatization. We do a lot with technical aids, but we still have to, and we also like it, listen to the audio material we publish. A little bit more challenging program is the program Echo der Zeit. Echo der Zeit is a radio information program that exists since 1945. It's really a key audio cultural asset in Switzerland. It has a long tradition, and it's also nowadays the most important radio information background program. 100,000 of people daily listen to this. It's really, let's call it, it's the one thing in radio information programs in Switzerland. This program is not on one topic. It's 20 to 45 minutes long, and it's a magazine with several segments on various topics. Here we do have an archive inventory which is very heterogeneous. The positive thing is that we do have a lot of audio content, a lot of material in the archive. We do also have high quality metadata, but partly in separate databases. You can say more or less it's not indexed for the whole period, this program. If we look a little bit closer at one period, 1987 to 2007, in this time we really have each day, almost each day, we do have what we call a daily recording. But this is now up to 4 hours long audio file, and we know somewhere on this audio file there is 25 to 40 minutes of Echo der Zeit. We do have metadata in different quality and structure, and the question is what to do with that situation. We see in this case the opening of the archive really as a great opportunity to generate a very clear added value for the public and also for the archive. It means we will structure this whole collection from 1987 to 2007. Each day we will structure manually according to segments, which means, for example, segment 1, war in Yugoslavia, a victim torture reports. Segment 2, Federal Council wants to speed up procedure for storage of radioactive waste, and so further on. Before we do that, or before this is done manually, we use an excavator. And the excavator, it automatically extracts the echo derzeit from the daily recordings using radio jingle recognition. Also the collection before 1987, which is even clearly more incomplete, it will also be edited by documentalists. In the previous example, I talked about a few days of workload. At this project, we are talking of a workload of hundreds of working days. Inside 3, opening up archives enriches them. The example of Echo der Zeit shows already that opening up the archive not only benefits the public, of course we do it for the public, but also it does benefit our internal uses. We deepen our knowledge in our department of the collections by going through them, and even more important, editors, documentalists, they can find the audio more easily in the archive system and have really better access for reuse. The previous slides may already have shown a little bit how interdisciplinary work opening up archives is. The following is a schematic overview. Let's start with the Research and Archive Department at SRF. We have the main tasks of project organization, fundraising, selection and prioritization of collections. We bring in expertise in collections and technology, and we do the automated and manual processing of metadata and audio. I did already mention the Foundation Kulturerbe, a cultural heritage SRF, which pays, which gives us money for manual processing of metadata and audio. We work together with the team Artificial Intelligence at SRF, have also benefit from other SRG members. In the example I showed, the radio jingle recognition helps us a lot by doing the archive opening. Very important is the legal department at SRF level for assessments of legal situations, calculating risks, and gives us very important and useful recommendations how to get along with the legal situation. Then we work together with an external service provider, SCS. They do the development of technical solutions, so they develop an excavator. They develop scripts. Every time when we have to do a macro correction, when we see, oh, here something is not well prepared for publication, then we think about the technical solution, and our external technical provider develops it. Of course, this is then all the time, we say we like this and that, and then there is, they develop something, we test it, there is feedback loop, and so further on. Then we work together with another department at SRF level called Production Management SRF, which helps us to publish the audio and metadata. And now we are at the blue part of the slide. Audio and metadata goes from FARO, which is our archive database. It goes to a tax application, we call it, which does the mapping or the transfer to the publication platform. Then it goes to the publication platform srf.ch audio, and even more metadata goes to the platform MemoBase, which some of you may heard or have seen the presentation yesterday. And on MemoBase you even have more metadata, better searchability of archive content than on audio SRF audio platform, but the audio itself, it remains on the srf.ch audio platform. Inside 5, opening up archive is a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun. My team colleagues do have a lot of fun. We sometimes struggle in this project, but we really like what we do. We see the purpose we do it for. We see the benefit for the public, and we also like to listen to this very fascinating audio content. We constantly find archive items that make us think, reflect, smile, almost cry, from politics, energy, climate change, religion, technical innovation. So a glimpse into the history of our society really changes also our understanding of the present. So we are very happy about what we did already. We published now more or less 20 radio formats, 70,700 programs and 15,000 hours. These numbers are not correct anymore because I did the slide a few weeks ago and went on holiday, and in between work went on and we are progressing and progressing. So work is not finished yet. With that insight, I want to finish my presentation. I want to thank the team that is working at this project very much. And thanks again to the organizers and to the audience for giving me the chance and for listening, for the open ears for open archives. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Markus. Are there any questions? This is a beautiful project of massive opening, very appreciated by my part.
Thank you, that was very interesting. I was wondering if the approach has been sort of program by program or title by title, or if it's been sometimes title by title and sometimes a certain year, or what's been the...
I didn't hear it from the... I didn't have the good acoustic. Can you repeat it again?
So what's been the approach in choosing what to process when, or has it been sort of one title by title as the examples you gave, or has there been other sort of other ways of approaching what to process?
How you choose the collections that you made available?
The prioritization of the programs. Okay. One thing is we want to have items from politics, from society, from culture. So a wide approach. That's one thing. The other thing is then the legal situation. The other thing is the resources we do have, and the very complicated thing is to decide or to think about how much of workload will it be, this collection. So that's also the reason why we now start with Echo der Zeit. Echo der Zeit, in fact, would be, if you just look at the programs, it would be the first thing you do. But we need the resources, we need the planning, and now we are at the point where we could start with Echo der Zeit. So it's different reasons. And at Echo der Zeit, we also go and we do these episode titles. At other programs, we don't do it in this detail. But there we say, hey, it's so important to have this information. We do this manual editing of this collection. Was it more or less your question?
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Very interesting. I was wondering about the use. Is it a lot of use by the audience? And also, when things happen in the world, do you curate this news to when it's relevant, like when Ukraine, or do you lift it so you see the timeline?
Okay, it was two questions. One is, yes, you can listen to the items on srf.ch audio, also on the platform MemoBase with a little bit different searchability. And the other question was when news happen in the world, how we curate then archive content. This is, if you remember the image I showed, or the difference we make between use of selected items and archive opening. I think the archive opening is the base, and afterwards, after archive opening, you can go and create specific segments. So now we are at the base work, and we will, and it's our strategic focus in future, to do more on also curated use of audio items.
Thank you.
May to come.
Someone else? Okay, I think it's time for lunch. Thank you very much, Markus, and thank you all.